The annexing Bosnia and Herzegovina into the Austro-Hungarian Empire is a topic that can be controversial as different sides looking at this in a different light. But before we jump to the story, let's look at Bosnia and Herzegovina closer. Bosnia and Herzegovina is a country in the Balkan Peninsula between Serbia, Croatia and Montenegro. It is an almost landlocked country with only a short 20 km-ish long coast. A country with moderate continental climate with hot summers and cold snowy winters. Bosnia is the bigger northern part, Herzegovina is the southern region. The capital city is Sarajevo. The area has been inhabited since at least the upper Paleolithic, but evidence suggests that during the Neolithic age, permanent human settlements were established already. The ancestors of the South Slavic people that populate the area today arrived during the 6th through the 9th century. In the 12th century, the Banat of Bosnia was established. By the 14th century, this had evolved into the Kingdom of Bosnia. In the mid-15th century, it was annexed into the Ottoman Empire, under whose rule it remained until the late 19th century. The Ottomans, during their long-lasting reign, brought the Islam religion into the region. This region was just south from the Austro-Hungarian Empire in the 19th century, and this was the period when the empire settled some of its main internal issues via the Compromise of 1867, so it could focus on chasing the imperialist dream and expand its footprint on a global scale. As most of the world was already split up between the great powers colonizing overseas territories, they could not carve a piece out for themselves from there. Other issues was that the Austro-Hungarian Empire did not have a strong navy to conduct such an operation. However, the slowly collapsing Ottoman Empire just next door offered an opportunity to expand in Europe, an option which other great powers did not have. Following the Russo-Turkish War in 1877-78, where Russia, Serbia, Romania, Bulgaria and Montenegro went against the Ottoman Empire, in 1878 the Congress of Berlin was organized by the great powers. The resulting Treaty of Berlin caused Bosnia and Herzegovina legally remain under the control of the Ottoman Empire, but in reality it was handed to Austria-Hungary, including the right to station army in Novi Pazar. According to Article 25, the provinces of Bosnia and Herzegovina shall be occupied and administered by Austria-Hungary. The government of Austria-Hungary, not desiring to undertake the administration of the Sanjak of Novi Pazar, which extends between Serbia and Montenegro in a southeasterly direction to the other side of Mitrovica, the Ottoman administration will continue to exercise its functions there. Nevertheless, in order to assure the maintenance of the new political state of affairs, as well as freedom and security of communications, Austria-Hungary reserves the right of keeping garrisons and having military and commercial roads in the wall of this part of the ancient Vilayet of Bosnia. To this end, the governments of Austria-Hungary and Turkey reserve to themselves to come to an understanding of the details. Although the Austro-Hungarian Empire expected no trouble in carrying out the occupation, according to the Imperial and Royal Foreign Minister Gyula Andrássy, this should be a walk with a brass band. The Austro-Hungarian Empire started to prepare for the takeover of Bosnia and Herzegovina by ordering a major mobilization. In a short period of time, they were able to set up a force of 82,113 troops, 13,313 horses and 112 cannons in the 6th, 7th, 20th and the 18th Infantry Divisions and the rear army in the Kingdom of Dalmatia. The commander of the main force was General Josip Filipović, The forward 18th Infantry Division was under the command of Stepan Jovanovic, while the rear army commander in Dalmatia was Gavrilo Rodic. The military operation to establish the occupation of Bosnia and Herzegovina started on the 29th of July 1878. There was no resistance expected from the local population and from the still remaining Ottoman soldiers, but they were proven wrong. The resistance to the Austro-Hungarian takeover came mainly from the Orthodox Serbs, forming 43% of the population, and the Bosnian Muslims, forming 39% of the local population, supported by the Ottoman army in Bosnia and Herzegovina. At the time consisted of roughly 40,000 troops with 77 cannons. That combined with the local militias made it to around 93,000 men. Although this was sort of illegal, as according to the Treaty of Berlin they should have pulled out from the region. I think it's important to note that there was almost no opposition at all from the Catholic Croats, whom were forming 18% of the population. The occupying force, the 13th Corps under General Josip Filipovic, crossed the river Sava near Brod, Kostanica and Gradiska. They assembled at Banja Luka and advanced down the road on the left side of the Vribas river. They encountered resistance by local Muslims under the Dervish Hadzi Loja, supported by the evacuating Ottoman army. Following this, on 3rd of August, a detachment of hussars was ambushed near Maglaj on the Bosna River, prompting General Filipovic to institute martial law. Only a few days later, on 7th of August, the Karnolian 17th Infantry Division fought the next battle Jajca and lost around 600 men. In the meantime, the 2nd occupying force, the 18th Division of 9,000 men under General Stepan Jovanovic, advanced out of the Austrian Dalmatia along the Neretva. On 5th of August, the division captured Mostar, the chief city of Herzegovina. However, this was not without any losses, as on 13th of August at Ravnice in Herzegovina, more than 70 Hungarian officers and soldiers were killed in action. The Empire as a response mobilized the 3rd, 4th and 5th Corps. The Austro-Hungarian soldiers encountered fierce resistance from the local population of Muslims and Orthodox groups, and significant battles occurred at Citluk, Stolac, Livno and Klobuk. However, as the Ottoman army was retreating, these setbacks only slowed down the Empire's army and eventually arrived at Sarajevo. The fight for Sarajevo was not easy for any of the sides. While General Filipovic had arrested the former Ottoman governor Hafiz Pasha, around 52 guns were deployed and violent street fighting took place between the occupying army and the defenders of the city. A formal report of the Austro-Hungarian General Staff said that small windows and numerous roof gaps allowed the discharge of fire in different directions and the most sustainable defense. And the accused insurgents in the nearest houses barricaded all entrances and kept up a destructive fire against the infantry. At the end of the fight, the Austro-Hungarian army lost 57 killed and 314 wounded of the 13,000 soldiers employed in the operation. They estimated the insurgent fatalities around 300. However, in the days following, there were many executions of accused rebels following short trials. After the fall of Sarajevo, the main insurgents retreated into the mountains beyond the city and there maintained their resistance for several weeks. Hadziloja surrendered to the Hungarian Infantry Regiment No. 37 on the 3rd of October by Rakitnica. Not much later, the castle of Velika Kladuša surrendered on 20th of October, marking the end of open hostilities. Tensions remained in certain parts of the country and a mass emigration of mainly Muslim rebels occurred. A state of relative stability was reached soon enough once the fighting ended and Austro-Hungarian authorities started to work on to make Bosnia and Herzegovina into a so-called model colony via reforms and investments. The aim was that by establishing a province as a stable political model, it would help melt away the rising Slav nationalism. To achieve this, the empire brought in new laws, to introduce new political practices, and generally to modernize or provide modernization and development in the region. During the months of fighting, the Austro-Hungarian Empire was forced to use 5 corps with a collective strength of 153,300 soldiers and 112 guns to occupy Bosnia and Herzegovina. The General Staff estimated there were 79,000 armed insurgents assisted, totally illegally, by around 13,800 regular Ottoman soldiers with about 77 guns. As per losses, the Austro-Hungarian army suffered 946 dead, 272 missing and around 3,980 wounded, but there is no reliable estimate of Bosnian or Ottoman losses, so I won't be able to provide a number. Following the occupation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Austria-Hungary also occupied the Sanjak of Novi Pazar on 10th of September 1879, implementing another one of the conclusions of the Congress of Berlin. However, at this point it was only an occupation, and as officially the region still belonged to the Ottoman Empire. 30 years later, in 1908, Emperor Franz Joseph announced to the people of this officially still Ottoman territory, which had been occupied by the Austro-Hungarian Empire for 30 years, that from now on the region shall be part of the empire. But this is for another video, as this one came to an end. Thank you for being here and watching this video, and if you got this far, you might want to subscribe to my channel. See you in the next one.